Hello, lovelies. Today I have a very special guest for us, and that is me. All kidding aside, yes, I decided to do a solo episode so that I could teach you our successful relationship strategy that helps our couples transform their relationship or take it to the next level. And by the end of the recording, you will have 10 top tactics to help you create lasting love in your relationship. Also, at the end, I give you some other takeaways so that in all you could implement things immediately to start creating the changes that you want in your relationship. Stay tuned, you're in for a treat. Today, I want to share with you the top 10 tactics for ensuring a long lasting love in your relationship. Now, these tactics flow from our successful relationship strategy, which is a concept that I developed over time after working with so many couples for so many years, because I realized that the work that we were doing with couples, even though it was unique to each couple, it had the same feeling and the same patterns and the same things that we were covering. And so I boiled down the whole work into 5 areas, 5 elements that when couples play and address and work within these elements, they really could create the change that they want in their relationship. And so today I want to give you a high level description of the 5 elements. And then I'm going to give you 2 tactics per element. So if you're looking to transform or enrich your relationship or bring it to the next level, when you address these tactics, it would help you do that. Okay. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into the elements with their specific tactics that I want to share with you today. And then at the end, I'm going to give you specific takeaways so that you can start implementing very tangible, practical ways of integrating what you learned today into your life and start creating the changes that you want. Okay, so the first one is element 1. It's called context and mindset. This one has to do with how you look at your relationship, at your life, at yourself, what kind of mindset you have around connection, intimacy, relationship, commitment, marriage, partner, your belief systems, your thought patterns, like everything that goes on through your mind, what you create with your mind belongs within this specific element. And also any patterns that you might have in your thought processes, any distorted cognitions, any limiting beliefs, all that kind of stuff falls within this element. And so when we work to clean this up and align it with what serves you more for your relationship and for your life, you could create some pretty amazing changes. So the first thing that I want to offer, the first tactic is to up level your relationship mindset to that of you being allies with your partners and not enemies if you're having a hard time, right? So I'm sure you're familiar that when you're struggling with your partner, you usually look at them as the enemy. When you're having a fight, you want to win, right? So you go for the jugular and you want to make sure that you win the argument, that you're proven right and that your partner's proven wrong. And like I like to say to my couples, this is not a jury or a court of law or a federal case. We're not out to win. We're here to connect and to be on the same page and to work as partners, to be allies in life, right? This is your partner, and I like to call him partner with a capital P. They're one of the most important people in your life, and so we should treat him as such because they are your life partner. Their role doesn't get any bigger than that. All right. So what we want to do is clean up our thinking where you might look at your partner as the enemy, as how much they suck, or their weaknesses, or how they don't meet your needs, and like just focus on that. And instead, you want to refocus on how they are a gift in your life, how they do complement you, how they do support you, how they do have your back, how they make your life richer, how they are part of enriching your life, right? And so looking at your partner with a different mindset, then treating them as an ally, that serves as a filter for everything else that you would do with them. And that influences everything that comes out of your mouth and all of your actions. So just cleaning up that little filter, looking at your partner as your ally, not your enemy. Even when you argue, you will argue differently. When you're trying to make a point or to work something out, you would address them very differently. Okay, so that's tactic one. Shift your mindset to your partner as an ally, not an enemy. All right, so now tactic number two for this element is setting effective boundaries. I talk about boundaries all the time, and this is such a major concept because people don't usually have good boundaries. When we don't have good boundaries, we're very messy. When we're messy, we create messes in a nutshell. So, what this means is that when we set effective boundaries, it has to do with fully owning ourselves and not blaming others. And so, the easiest way to teach you the concept of setting more effective boundaries has to do with imagining that you have a hula hoop around your body, right? So you have an invisible hula hoop around you, around yourself. And inside this hula hoop is everything about you: your beliefs, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, your ethnicity, if you like to eat strawberry ice cream, when you like to brush your teeth, all the things about you are inside this circle. Your partner has one too. Now there's two hula hoops or two circles. They could overlap, and in that overlap is that relationship. That's the joint mutual stuff. Usually, what partners like to do is they like to leave their circle and they go into their partner's circle. And they like to tell their partner what to think, what to believe, what to feel, what to do, all the things. And in that, they left their circle. So their circle, their business is not being minded, and now they're crowding their partner's circle, and vice versa. And so, what we want to do is not that, because we're not owning our own stuff and we're crowding each other. And so, we're disempowering ourselves. What we want to do instead is stay in our own circle where we own all of our stuff and we allow our partner to own theirs. We don't go into their circle and crowd their circle where then they end up disappearing, shutting down on us. Then we wonder where's our partner. Meanwhile, we're micromanaging and doing all the funny business that makes them go away. So if we stay in our own circle, they stay in their circle, then we're both empowered. We could take care of our business, speak from our circle, take care of our business from our circle. Our partner could do the same. And then we come to the middle and we create the awesomeness. Okay, so that's the easiest way to set boundaries, to mind that we're operating from our own circle and that we're not going to our partner's circle by telling them how they should be, what they should do, and all the things, and now allowing them to come into ours, right? They shouldn't be telling us what to think, what to feel, what to do. Now, people get tripped up on this because they're like, well, if we're in a partnership, I should be able to have feedback or whatever. There's a difference in expressing what's happening for us in our feelings and what we need than telling somebody else how they should be. Okay, we can make requests that honor us and that takes care of our needs without telling our partner what to do. We can make requests for behaviors or for actions, and then they could choose from options so that they could choose things to do for us that meets our needs, that is okay for them, you see. We never want to go against ourselves. And so sometimes partners make requests or do things that would take care of our needs, but it's against our partner's own needs or their preferences or themselves. And that doesn't make any sense. We never want to undo each other. So we want to take care of that, set that boundary by making requests from our circle and giving options so our partner could choose, and then we're both empowered and nobody gets nullified or canceled, right? So that's the easiest way to set boundaries, to be mindful of operating from our own circle and not each other's, and owning all of our stuff and not our partners. Okay, so that was element one. Element two is communication and alignment. I want to offer two tactics. The first one has to do with improving your skills, or actually, even more to the point, actually using your skills. Because a lot of us have great communication skills, but sometimes we don't use them. So I'm going to assume that you have pretty good skills. If not, you could do some research, go on our blog, metrorelationship.com/blog, and do a search for communication. You'll get all kinds of tools and skills and stuff on there. But I'm just going to give you some quick ones right now to remind you to use what you already have. And in case you don't have some of these, you could learn these right now. And also, you could take this further for yourself with your own research aside from this conversation. Okay, so for skills for today, ready? I'm going to give you three. One, again, very basic, just reminders. When you want to have a significant or an important conversation with your partner, to set time aside for it and to not have distractions, to really be present with each other. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're not having communications on the run as a side note and it's something important because it's not going to have its due attention from us so that we won't be able to resolve it. What we want to do is give due importance by picking time to actually go through it so that we could connect, we could explore, we could really share, and we could give it the attention that it needs. So when you're setting up that time or when you're making a request of your partner for some time to have a conversation, also set the agenda, right? So I want to talk about this thing. So then it's clear of what it's about. You both could give it the right importance and you could prioritize it and you could come to the conversation prepared for a good conversation. Okay, so that was one of the skills. The other one is number two is to, when you do have the conversation, to use attunement. What that means is that you're going to have some eye contact, you're going to be present, you're going to position your body in a way that the message that it gives, the body language, shows that you're open, receptive, available, right? So watch how you're positioning your body, if you're crossing your arms, your legs, if you're turning that way or the other way, the proximity to each other, like all that kind of stuff, so that everything about you shows that you're open for having a good conversation. Okay, so the eye contact, the presence, and just how you're positioning yourself and your body. And then number three for today, be mindful of your tone, because a lot of times we mean something, but the way that we deliver it, it shoots us on the foot. Like we don't deliver it properly or the way that we intended. And then our partners attune to the tone and then they misinterpret our intention or the message. So just be very intentional about that. And also mindful in terms of what words you use, because words are powerful. And sometimes we trip ourselves up by choosing words poorly. And we just are not doing ourselves any favors. Okay, so those are the three, very basic, like I said, but sometimes we forget, right? And so if we implement just some of the basic stuff, we're already ahead of the game. So that was tactic one for communication. Tactic two for communication, this is a little more advanced. And this is to talk about ourselves. Now, this is counterintuitive because people have been taught that it's selfish or inappropriate to focus on ourselves, but rather to show curiosity, ask questions. That's how you create engaging conversations. That might be true for social events and for networking events and that kind of stuff. But when you're having a conversation with your partner about your relationship or about resolving something in life, in your life together, talking about ourselves means that we're going to address the thing from our perspective, what we need, how we are impacted, our desires, how this meets our needs, how we look at something, not what your partner's doing wrong, how they should look at it, what's going on for them, making assumptions, assigning motives. You see the difference? So we want to speak from our circle and not go into our partner's circle when we're trying to address something. Huge. If this is the only thing you get for today from this podcast, you're hooked up. Make sure you speak from your circle. Much more powerful because now your partner could stay available. They could hear you and your message as opposed to putting up defenses because you're attacking them. You see, very different. So if we speak about ourselves, our partner could stay present and connected and engaged, and they could respond to what we're saying. Yay. Okay. So that was number two, tactic two for the second element, which means we're up to tactic four in all of the 10 for today. So now we're going to move to element three, which is clarity and dynamics. This one has to do with the loop, the dynamic, and the recurring patterns in our relationship. And in case I didn't describe element two, and that has to do with getting on the same page and communicating properly so that you can communicate your needs, your desires, resolve conflict, address issues, concerns, make decisions, make amends, repair, all the things, apologize, all of the things that have to do with getting on the same page and flowing together and understanding each other. That falls under this element. So now back to element three, clarity and dynamics. It has to do with your loop. I'm sure you're familiar that there might be a theme in your relationship that just keeps happening. It happens over and over. There's an issue, a fight, a concern that just doesn't go away. You have the same fight over and over, possibly over the same things, or even if it's over different things, it's the same fight. You fight the same way, but also you might have specific themes or topics that just keep recurring that you can't seem to resolve. Okay. So with this one, I'm going to give you the two tactics. Now, just a little side note here. For the purpose of this particular conversation and this particular podcast episode, going deeper into why that happens, why you have the recurring patterns and the things coming back over and over, is a little beyond today's conversation. But I do have a whole YouTube video on that. If you're a client, we have all of this in our membership site. But if you're not, check out that YouTube video. I go a little bit more in depth in terms of what is happening with those dynamics, why you keep looping and repeating things. And that might help you to understand that a little bit better. But for today's conversation, I'm going to give you the shortcut, the hack, how to change the loop. I'm going straight for the tactic and changing it as opposed to explaining why that's happening first. Okay. Okay. So then that means that we're up to tactic five. The first thing that I want to offer is how to start changing that loop. So the easiest way is to identify, okay, so what is the thing that keeps coming up over and over and over? What is my deal? Like, why does this thing keep happening? And so once you identify the thing that keeps happening over and over, look what's underneath that thing. Like, what is the trigger? Because usually it's not about the thing. It's the meaning that we assign it or what's underneath it. Like, what is the trigger that's happening for you? What is the wound that's getting poked? What is the unresolved issue that's actually playing in the background? That's what's playing out in that particular scenario. So if you could identify what's underneath, what's getting triggered, then you could translate that triggered into a need. And then you could work on getting the need met. And just with that little formula, you could transform massively your loop in your relationship dynamics, the thing that keeps repeating. So let me be a little bit more specific. Let's say that the thing that keeps happening in my relationship is that my partner never calls me. Okay, I'm making this up. And so when my partner never calls me and I'm waiting for his call every day from work so we could touch base or whatever, then my trigger is abandonment. I feel abandoned if my partner doesn't reach out and is in touch with me. So I could make the thing, oh, you promised you were gonna call, you never call me, you don't care about me, blah, 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 right? I could say you. But instead, if I say, oh, when this thing is happening, my trigger is this, the core wound, as the abandonment, then I could translate that into a need. And so if my wound is abandonment, my need is for connection in a nutshell. So I could say in this little formula, if my partner triggers me by not calling, then I could identify what's under that as my abandonment wound. And then I could translate that abandonment wound to a need of connection. And so you see the little formula, there is an event, there is a wound that's getting triggered, and then you could translate that to the need. And then the next thing is, how do I get that need met? So at the end of the day, it's not per se the thing that my partner did that gets addressed, even though it could be, but the need for connection is what gets addressed. Because if my need for connection is met and I heal more this abandonment wound, then my partner not calling me every day might not be such a big trigger, you see? So that's how you change the patterns. You identify the thing, what's under it, translate it into a need, and get the need met. Okay, so that was tactic number 5. Now, tactic number 6 is similar, same thing also about changing the patterns and changing a loop. Now, this is about giving your partner a different outcome because that also changes the loop. So imagine your partner gets triggered. They might have a wound under there, not might, they have a wound under there. And then the work would be for that wound to get translated into a need and for that need to be met, regardless of the thing that initially triggered it. That thing that initially triggered it, doing something about that can be healing in of itself. It could be the thing that gets addressed, but it doesn't have to be the thing that takes care of it. Okay. And so from your perspective, from your side, you could actually do something different than what you usually do so you don't trigger the same thing for your partner. You see, you could choose to give them a different response, a different action, making a different choice, a different decision, showing up differently. Because then that in of itself won't trigger the same thing and just create the whole cascade of events that usually happen. That's one way. The other way is that you could say, I know that my partner's wound is this thing. So therefore, let me do things to do stuff to heal that wound, to offer things to my partner that I know would add salve, if you may, like soothe that wound, right? So you will work on meeting that need. So those are ongoingly healing. So you both could work on that from those angles. All right. So that last one was tactic number 6. So now we're going to move on to element 4, which is connection and intimacy. And I'm going to give you 2 tactics for this one as well. So tactic 7, and then is actually, before I tell you tactic 7, let me explain this element a little bit. This one has to do with how do we create connection and intimacy in our relationship so that we feel the union, we feel the connection, we feel the bond, we feel the love, we feel the joy, we feel together, we feel like we're a unit, we feel united. Sometimes, after a period of time goes by in a relationship, we start feeling less and less of that because we might create more parallel lives, or we might really struggle, like fight a lot, and we just constantly chopping at that bond. And then we don't feel like a unit. We don't feel strong, right? We feel very alone, actually. And so part of this element is to do things to build that bond, protect that bond, build that connection, enrich the relationship, nurture the partnership, do things to delight your partner and to increase that connection, that intimacy, and that fun, I like to say. So then tactic 7 is building connection habits into your relationship so that you can do this without too much effort. Like you build it into your routine, you build it into your lifestyle. What are the connection habits? So on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, what are the things that you put in place that are recurring behaviors that are habitual, like they're part of what you do, so you don't have to put too much effort in investing in your relationship. You just build it in. And when you do these connection habits, you automate taking care of your relationship and your partner, and they don't fall to the bottom of the list, which tends to happen very often in most modern relationships. So, what are connection habits? Those are just any gestures of love and caring that you do on an ongoing basis in your relationship. So, for example, we might have morning coffee. The first thing in the morning, depending on your work situation and lifestyle, You might have coffee together to just to greet the day and just touch base for the day and just start nice and slow and easy together for the day. You might touch base around lunchtime. You might have a ritual to transition from work day mode into evening mode. Something around dinner or a debrief between the time that you guys finish work into and before dinner, where you get on the same page about what happened for the day, how is life going, anything that we need to report, share, get on the same page about. Then you could have dinner, and that could be special. It doesn't have to be rushing around or not eating together. You could figure out how to do dinner in a way that creates that unity and that cohesiveness. Then something before bedtime. And I'm going to actually give it something yummy one to add here for one of the takeaways to as a suggestion to add here. The whole thing that I just gave you is for like a daily routine, but then you could have something for a weekly basis. On Saturday mornings we do this, on Sunday mornings we do that, on Friday evenings we do that. You see, so it's like there's this a cadence to your lifestyle, into your routine, into your connection habits, your touch points, so that you stay always current on the same page together, connected, in the know, and feeling good and bonded. Okay, so that was number 7. Tactic number 8, which is the second one for element 4, is date your partner. Now, some of you might say, like, oh, that's so basic. We go on dates, we have date night in our relationship. Fine, then you're ahead of the game. You get a gold star. Keep that going. Kudos. Not everybody has that, number 1. And number 2, that's also a very basic tactic. So if you don't even have that, I would implement that. You could implement the basic version of that or what I'm going to offer you. And if you already have date night, what I'm going to offer next takes it to the next level. Okay. So either way, wherever you're at, tailor it to yourself. And date your partner means not just go out to have a bite to eat and come back home. Date your partner means that you're going to put effort into wooing your partner. So remember when you first started dating and you used to go out of your way to look handsome, to look beautiful, and to do something fun and to what's the word I'm looking for? Just create excitement, right? Just to impress your partner, to show you the best side of you. So that's what we're looking to do. Life gets too mundane, especially if you have children. Life gets too domestic, and that tends to sap our sexy energy. So your sex life might take a hit, your intimacy might take a hit. You're not feeling as connected, as in love, as passionate, as romantical, like I like to say. And so this tactic addresses all of those things, okay? Because to this date, now you're bringing the essence of who you are. You're not bringing the people with the roles and all the responsibilities to the date. That's a killer, right? So we have to leave that at home and we show up to the date with trying to impress our partner, with looking our best, coming with a good energy, good mojo, just the essence of who we are, not all the roles, right? And all the doing. And we show up with our best foot forward. That's where the chemistry is. If you go to your more innate energy, you're likely to polarize in your energies from alpha and omega, male and female, and regardless of your genders. And that's where the habits attract. That's where the attraction happens. And so if you're showing up with your essence, you'll end up with your core essence, the essence that's more likely to be you. Now what you show up with on a daily basis. And so you show up with that core essence that's more likely you, not the one that you show up with all the time, right? Which is more like, I gotta take care of business, and it's not your innate energy. This happens more for women, where we show up more with an alpha because as they're doing, we take care of business. You know, we gotta do the home, we gotta do work, whatever. That's more male energy. And when we constantly running with the male energy, our feminine side, our feminine energy dwindles, and then you have a lot of male energy in the relationship, and that's where people are butting heads, and the attraction goes away. But when we tend to when we tend to connect more with that fuller, more innate essence, which is not so much doing, it's more being, and it's more omega, it's more feminine. Now we show up with our partner who might be leading with their omega, with their alpha, and that's where the attraction happens. Now, if your partner leads more with Omega, more feminine, by all means, then stay in your masculine, and that's going to create the attraction. Okay. But so the key here is to be mindful of, okay, what energy is more innate to each of you, and for you guys to show up with that energy and that essence. And that's where the sparks fly. So that's what you want to play with. That's what you want to show up with to your dates, because that's where the sexiness comes from, that attraction, that passion, that polarity. Okay. So get in touch with, okay, what's my primary energy? What's my partner's? Or how's my partner showing up? Let me go to the opposite side of mine, right? Because we both have both. So if your partner showing up with one kind, you show up with the other one, and then you make the sparks spark. So if you're bringing that to your dates, woohoo, fun times, right? So that's the idea. And this is especially important if you're having a hard time with intimacy in your relationship, where you're not as intimate as you would like, and you're feeling more like siblings or roommates or whatever than lovers and a couple. And then this concept would really behoove you to pay attention to. Now, that is also a very highlight level to this tactic. I have more content on this on my website and in all of the places. But for now, that's good enough for you to start playing with that, to start creating change. Okay. So that was tactic 8 of the 10 for today. So now we're going to go into the 5th element, the last element of the successful relationship strategy, and that is collaboration and partnership. Now, this one, it's fun because this is where you actually get to more proactively do stuff out of all the other elements. The other ones have doing stuff in them too, like practical takeaways, but some of them are more of an internal process. So sometimes they might get lost on us, or we might not be as consistent in playing with them because it's harder to quantify or hang on to or to see, right? But with this one, it's one of the fun ones because it's really concrete, and it's sometimes it's easier for us to be more concrete. So then tactic number 9, the first one for this element, is creating a joint vision. Now you could get as complicated or as simple with this one as you like. The complicated version, I have a whole process and all of the content places, YouTube, my blog post, and if you're a client in the membership site with the master classes and the deep dives, you could really go into this and flesh it all out. If you're nerdy like me and you just have fun visioning and planning and setting strategies and all that kind of stuff. If you want a simpler version, I'm going to give it to you right now, which is you say to your partner, okay, what do you think we could be in 5 years from now? Or where do we want to be? And you start a simple, just curious conversation. You could keep it as simple and as light as you want. And again, don't do it drive by, just like, oh, by the way, and you just throw the question out there and you throw you catch your partner off guard. You're not going to get a good response that's going to be satisfying. But you might want to set time aside, or when you're on date night, right? Or when you're out dating, you might just want to throw this around and play with this and just be curious and throw ideas around. You might have different ideas. Don't let that mess you up. This is just for curiosity's sake. Dreaming is better than not dreaming. As you go, you co-create and you create regardless. You'll create something. You don't have to get hung up on the specifics of what the goal is, what the vision is, what do you want, because life evolves and things change as you go anyway, right? But just have something, because then you have a conversation and you have a North Star to lead you, and you could course correct and change and upgrade and change your mind and create something new as you desire as you go. But at least have something that you're shooting for. And then you bring it down into 3 years from now. What might that look like? And so then for next year, what do I want to accomplish between now and next year? So what does that mean? If within the year we're going to be there, what do we have to do? What do we want to focus on? What do we want to prioritize? Right? And then you breaking it down even more to like, okay, 6 months in the next month. So what are the things that we need to put in place to reach that stuff that we want within the year? And then you do this on an yearly basis, you see. And then before you know it, it's 5 years from now, and you created all the things that you wanted, and you course corrected to create what made sense at the end of the day. But you start with simple conversation. Just be curious, chat, co-create, and then break it down to like a shorter period of time and set some specific actionable items that you want to focus on to help you reach that goal. And then those items brings me to now tactic number 10, the second one for this element. You divide and conquer. Okay, which items are you going to take care of? Which items am I going to take care of? And together you cover all the things, all the responsibilities, and you make it more seamless to co-create your life and to collaborate in your life and to achieve the goals that you want. All right, so hopefully that served you. Those were the 10 tactics flowing from the 5 elements of the successful relationship strategy. So I'm going to do a quick recap. Ready? Tactic 1 was to shift your perspective to being allies and not enemies. Tactic 2 was to set effective boundaries. Tactic 3 was to remember your communication skills, and if you're lacking, go get some. Number 4 was to speak about you when you're having important conversations about your partner and not blaming them or attacking them. Don't speak about them. Number 5 was about identifying what is under the repeating patterns, what is getting triggered for you, translating that into a need and meeting that need. That's how you change your loop and your recurring patterns. And number 5, around the same line of thinking, is giving your partner an alternate outcome, something different than you usually give them when you start getting stuck in a conversation or a fight or a recurring thing. Give them something different that also helps change the loop. Number 7 is building into your routine and into your lifestyle some connection habits. Number 7 is date your partner, not just with merely date night, but take it to the next level where you really date each other and you show up with different essence and you go to that polarity to really hook yourselves up. Number 9 is creating a joint life vision that could serve as a North Star to guide you in your approach to creating your life together. And number 10 is embracing a collaborative, a divide and conquer approach to co-creating your joint life. All right. So now I am going to give you some more specific takeaways to do. This is your assignment or your homework, if you may. The first one is to invite your partner to have a what I like to call a state of the union conversation. So you just say like, you know what, let's check in. How are we doing? How's life? You know, how are we doing as a partnership, as a couple, in terms of creating the life that we want to create? And don't make it intense or heavy or shaming or critical or heavy. You know, like take it easy. It's okay. It's supposed to be light and fun and curious, just nice, right? So then from here, we're gonna build stuff. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna enrich our relationship and we create awesomeness. So go into that conversation with that approach, with that energy. And then part of that conversation is going to be out of these 5 elements, right? I'm going to recap them again in a second, the 5, so that you can have them handy. Which one do we want to focus on? Which one feels like it needs a little bit of attention from us that will serve us if we pull that lever? It will make a lot of difference to create a big shift in our relationship and in our life, right? Just bring things to the next level. So the 5 elements again are number 1, context and mindset. Number 2, communication and alignment. Number 3, clarity and dynamics. Number 4, connection and intimacy. Number 5, collaboration and partnership. Okay, so takeaway number 2 is 2 things. 1, build into your routine a self-love practice. Because when you're taking care of your needs and you're taking care of yourself, you become a lot less triggerable. You create more resilience, you rewire yourself, you repattern yourself, you do all kinds of goodies. And in that, you're not going to be so easily trippable when you have an interaction with your partner where you go into a loop. Okay. So, and you have recurring things happening. If you take care of you, you'll become less likely to get stuck there. And the other one with this is create a partner love practice. And a partner love practice is what I was talking about in terms of the connection habits. You put in stuff into your routine where you just focus on nurturing your partner, giving them special touches and acts of kindness and just beautiful things so that you take care of them and you show them your love and you seamlessly enrich the relationship and you nurture the relationship. And then three for takeaway, and this is what I had promised earlier. This one is as part of the connection habits at nighttime before bed or any part in the day that makes sense for your life. And if this feels like too much, it doesn't have to be daily. It could be a couple of times a week or during the weekend. Like you pick the cadence that makes sense for you. And that is to build in appreciations. So doing appreciation sessions with your partner where you take a few moments to share with each other all the things that you appreciate about them, that you love about them, that they did recently, how they showed up for the day, how they're working on things, how you could see what efforts they're making or what stretches they did or whatever. You could highlight all the good stuff that you're noticing that they're working on or just showing up with because they're showing up with their awesomeness and you notice it or their strengths, right? So anything good that you love about them or that you appreciate that they're doing, you could share with them. And then they could share the same with you. So you do an exchange of appreciations, and that's the quickest way to add some good positive stuff into your relationship. All right, so quick recap for the takeaways. Number one, a state of the union conversation. Identify what element you want to focus on. So you could enrich something that might need some attention. Number two has two parts, self-love practice and a partner love practice. So you can add habits into your routine to take care of yourself and your partner. And number three, build in an appreciation session and some kind of a cadence that makes sense for your life. You decide on the frequency and when this happens, and you both get to share what you appreciate about each other. Okay, my loves, hopefully you love that. I would love to hear from you if you have any questions, any thoughts, and also which one of the 10 tactics you like the most, or which element you are playing with and trying to take to the next level. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and I will see you at the next one. Bye.